Hello my friends, welcome in. This is the plant room tour video. I have been meaning to make this since it was complete, but I haven't had time until today. Today is the day. So we're gonna go through, I will show you the plants in here, I will talk a little bit about what this room features, and if you have any questions, ask me. I'm happy to help. We live out in the wilderness and it's very quiet here and cold winters, but this room is exactly what I needed, so come on in. The room is pretty much complete now. There are a couple small things that eventually I'll get to, some painting things and such. Yeah, let's go through. I'll show you how I'm using it right now. This room will be used differently in the summer for sure. So that door just came in there. That goes into our hallway and then further into our house. This room used to be like an open patio, you could say. It turned out really nice. We purchased this whole package from a company called Willab garden, and then we had to do some small tweaking to fit our home as well. So I guess today I'll just do a tour for you guys to show you what I've done and what plants I have in here right now. We can start with the most boring spot of it all, probably. The corner of doom. Boxes, boxes. This is for your orders. So this corner I kind of just use for supplies right now. I don't really want to use it this way, but I gotta come up with a solution. Some various poles that I'll use in the future. I have electricity in here, various outlets throughout. Some plants that probably shouldn't be there, but they are. And then moving on to my workbench. I found it secondhand and we made a few tweaks. It probably shouldn't have water and dirt on it, so I waxed it down so it can be protected. Put in a sink. Eventually there will be a faucet on here too. Right now, as you can see, this hose here, this hose is coming in from the inside of our house, which is our kitchen there, to give me water supply, which I really need in here. But I haven't had the time yet to actually connect a faucet into this room. But right now this works fine. I don't ever really feel the need to have to completely close off that window. It stays quite humid in here and it doesn't seem to damage the kitchen too much with the humidity. Just potted up this Hoya, which a friend gave me. Got a little Philodendron Rio, Syngonium, Cebu Blue. I'm trying not to plant up too many plants into soil right now because it's not a good time. The plants are not reacting well at all to it, but doing my best. This is a cool little plant you may recognize that I sell sometimes. It is the Begonia breakdance. I cut up one of the leaves and threw it, literally just threw it on top of the soil, and here we have little plantlets going. So that's a really fun and cute project for anyone at home who wants to try it. Have some more Hoya Polyna cuttings in water. I find with the Polyna, or Hoyas in general, I find that they root best for me in water first, but you have to be careful because sometimes they do rot. So yeah, and then down here I have some dirt supplies. And then in there I have more packing supplies, any supplies, whatever supplies, scissors, knives, stuff. Yeah, I'm really happy with this workspace. It's amazing to be able to not have to work on the floor all the time, which I used to do. Speaking of the floor, I just point out that this floor is just cement, but it is heated cement. So that plays a huge role in how this room in the winter keeps its heat. So far, it has kept the room nice and warm. It helps with humidity. It helps with basically the whole floor is acting like a heating pad for all my cuttings, which is why you see a lot of stuff on the floor, because it does a lot better down there, of course, with the under heating. Here's an area I like to sit in the morning, prepare my day. Cats. All right. You might hear one meowing. One of them wanted to go out earlier, but now instantly wants back inside. Let's see. Very typical of them. What do you say? Should we let him in? All right, we'll let him in. Hello. All right, happy cat. Yeah, so let's go into an area that I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna wanna see. In this greenhouse is my extra special or rehabilitation, high humidity craving, special needs plants. Usually my new arrivals that have traveled a long way go right in here for quite a while to make sure that everything's okay, where it's getting a lot of humidity, a lot of warmth. Pretty much everything in here, for the most part, is in moss. This is where you find the rare things, most of them anyway, anthuriums and philodendrons. And in here I have, oh, this is a new one I was so excited about. This is the Philodendron gigas. I've been wanting this one for a really long time. Finally got some cuttings. Philodendron Florida Beauty. But I'm really hoping to find one that has white variegation, not just the yellow. This is a couple anthurium Queen of Hearts, which I'm working on propagating in various stages. And some Workbench, Cercistus, cool Syngonium that I just freaking love. And then below I have a fan, very essential to plant well-being. When you put them in small, very humid places, without this fan, this would not work. Invest in a fan, it's worth it. And under here I actually have another heating pad, warming up the bottoms of a lot of these pots down here. This is my anthurium zone, as you can see. I have got a lot of them going on in here. I have, yeah, some unknown varieties that I got recently, some very nice dark green velvety beautiful anthuriums that I'm working on propagating. Yes, these will be for sale eventually, but anthuriums take a really long time to propagate, so right now they will sit here until I feel satisfied with them. It's just sphagnum moss. On the heating mat. So I do water these sometimes, like, I don't know, maybe once a week or so. It keeps pretty moist in here with the hose. And then every couple weeks I actually pull everything out and make sure nothing weird's going on, check the roots, see if they can move out of here or what. And then I do have this little humidifier here, which I sometimes put on and close inside of there just to really bump up the humidity. I like to see it like clouded in there sometimes, but otherwise this is, yeah, great setup for anyone who has the space for it. Light above for some light, but it does get, you know, you have to do some maintenance on it. It gets a bit mildewy and dirty over time, so you have to really scrub it out and clean it and make sure nothing funky's going on in the back. Make sure you keep an eye on that. Here you'll see a Ripsalis paradoxa. Oh, love this plant. I love it. Some of my Platycerium, probably favorite plant of all time. Look at that thing. I've had that one a while. Lycopodium. I'm trying to get more of this. It just disappeared all of a sudden off the market, so I'm hunting for it. But a really easygoing plant, actually. It's surprising me how easy it is to grow. I just have it in a very airy, like pretty much soil and perlite, maybe a little bit of bark. I let it dry out pretty much until it hangs, which I shouldn't, but I do, and it has never done anything but grow slowly, but it grows. Excuse that board. It's one of those boards I gotta paint. I will get to it. More Platycerium, Monstera adansonii, a plant that I generally don't get along with, so this is the first one that's actually growing for me quite well, I'd say. Down below I've got some various, I got a a type of Philodendron rugosum. It wasn't the type I was really hoping for. I wanted the real crinkly, pure form, I guess you could call it, but I ended up with this, which is fine because, you know, it's cool too. Not a plant you see around very often. Got some monsteras, more philodendron. My prize, Norfolk Island Pine. I love this plant too. Another plant that is totally underrated. I mean, it just makes you feel like you have the forest in your home. I love it. Just another incredibly, incredibly slow growing plant. I mean, I bought this plant when we first moved to Sweden, which was 2.5+ years ago. The first plant I bought, I think. And it has only grown this right here. This section. But I really have kind of neglected it too. It's been in a lot of dark corners, so time to pump up the care on that guy. I want to see him get big. And here's a little table of mixed oddities that so most of these plants you see in here are really product for sale eventually, or that I'm propagating, but there are some areas that I consider my plants, my collection. Most of them are in the house, but this table is one area that I really kind of, I don't know if I'll sell them. I like them, so I might just keep them. Giant anthurium. Here is a tiny little anthurium regal. It is a very, very slow, painfully slow growing plant. It really, really, really slow. I look forward to it getting bigger, but I just wait on it because it will decide what it wants. Philodendron esmeraldense, maybe is how you pronounce it. This is a big ol' Philodendron glorious. This was an Aglaonema pictum tricolor, which is now a bicolor. There is no more white in it. I don't know, but it's cool. I think it's just as beautiful without the white, so maybe I'll propagate it. Maybe I'll just keep enjoying it. I don't know. It's just so pretty. It's really cool. This was a really cool new plant that I was able to locate recently, a variegated spathiphyllum. I don't know the exact cultivar here. It's not Picasso. I wanted Picasso, but that's really hard to find. But I got this instead, and I'm still happy because it's pretty cool. This is a Brainia snowbush. It has very little color right now, but this thing can get awesome. I'll put a little picture in to show you guys. It needs a lot of really high light and frequent watering. So I think in the spring I'll try putting it outside again. But last year an animal decided to eat away all the leaves. So I don't know I want to get this guy big, but we'll see what I do with it. Back here's a little ornamental yam. See how it grows. Has not gone dormant. We'll see if it does. Up here we have some various plants. Plumanii, Metallicum. Losing the name on that one right now, but as you can see, it's a bit crispy. I don't know why I'm letting it sit there. I should really probably put it in the greenhouse, but I just want to test it and see if I can keep it in here. Begonia. This is actually a Kokedama. I like this thing. This is the happiest I've ever kept a begonia in my life. These begonias are really tricky for me. It's not something I'm very good at yet. But this one is a beast. So maybe Kokedama, maybe a moss ball is the trick of care for me in my care habits. The Hoya undulata. It's very beautiful. Look at that modeling on those leaves. People ask me if it's difficult because it apparently is known to be, but it has not been difficult for me. I plant almost all of my Hoyas now in just bark mix. Got a tip from a friend about that, and they seem to love it that way. Here I have a little propagation going on. I cut this down and was trying to get some cuttings off of it. Not a good time of the year for it. The cuttings are not super happy, but they're finally getting some tiny roots. I'm not going to even show you. It's too sad. So these, this was something I was on the hunt for forever. Another one of those things that was on the market, then all of a sudden just disappeared from the market and was nowhere to be found. But I did find some cuttings. I threw them in here and just soil mixture, and looky, we have roots. You know, I actually did an experiment on these. I put 2 of them with rooting hormone and 2 of them without to see what would happen. And they all have roots. I'm gonna do a video on that later to show the difference. I'm gonna do a little propagation video. These are some little anthurium seedlings that I grew from seed. There's a video on that coming too, actually, a pretty more in-depth anthurium seed growing video, so hold tight for that. Down here we have some just various plants. I don't really have much major organization in here, just kind of how I want it, how I enjoy it. Back there is a recovering anthurium ace of spades, and here is another very prize plant for me. This is a Philodendron Carson, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Awesome plant. Shiny, not velvety, dark greenish, kind of glowy green veins, underside red. When the new leaves come out, they're like bright red. This plant is cool. I was going crazy trying to find this, and I did, and I just love it. Working on propagating it, but very slow grower, so I can't say anything about if that will happen or when. Hopefully though, it's a plan. Here's a kind of don't look at me corner. Underneath there, I have a drainage hole which goes outside so that I water the plants and the excess water will make its way outside if it doesn't evaporate on its own, which I love. Probably one of the best features about this room. You probably recognize most of the things down here. Alocasias, they are super beautiful. Dark green, white veins, love it. Bunch of verrucosum, beautiful. Another Carcinianum. Again, I have all this stuff on the floor because of the heating. I want to give them a little extra warmth from the underside so that they stay actively growing. So this wall I guess you could call it, is a door that opens. So in the summertime, I'm for sure gonna have to keep this open or find some way to ventilate it in here because it will get very warm. I know that for sure. The roof is just like a thick PVC plastic type of roof. Keeps it very well insulated, actually. Allows the sun to come through without hitting directly on the plants and burning them. This is south, so as you can see, the sun's the tiny bit of sun that we have today is actually peeking through here, but in the summer this is really intense sunlight, like full blast. So rearranging will have to be done. I may have to put up some sheer curtains to damper the sun. We'll see what I do, but for now this is awesome because I can close it off for winter. It becomes a room, keeps its warmth, keeps its humidity. It's great. A lot of people have also asked me about lights. Do I have lights? Yes, I've been adding more and more lights actually. So here you see a strip that I just added recently, which is really helpful. I needed that. Otherwise I just have the various IKEA grow lights around. They're not even on right now, but yeah, they're around. That's a light going outside because, as some of you have seen, we do get some fox visitors here, and I love to watch them. So up here I have some various plants. Alocasia, dragon scale, cuttings, syngonium, a lot of different Scindapsus, Ipreprenum, pothos, things like that. Hoyas. Most of the plants on the shelves are just kept in pots inside of trays for my own organization. I have more alocasias down here, some philodendrons, anthurium, pretty philodendron being princess, alocasia cuprea. Yay, we have some new growth, which looks kind of deformed, but hey, it's growing. It's great. I'm waiting for these to fill out nice and full again. They got kind of scrappy over the summer. Some jewel orchids, very pretty. I love these plants. They come around like crazy in the winter time, at least here in Sweden, and then disappear the rest of the year. So I kept a couple to propagate for those who are interested during the summer. Here I have some big ol' Philodendron golden dragon. There we go. Very pretty plant. Micans, very popular one. Try to always keep that around because it's such a pretty, easy grower. Underrated plant, so beautiful. I will be mounting this soon. And here I have, a mix of stuff. Some Ripsalis. I think it's still considered Ripsalis, this one. Names, there's so many synonyms to Ripsalis nowadays, I kind of lose track. Maranta, lemon lime, Scindapsus, silveriana, I think. Philodendron lemon lime. Can you name it? Can I name it? Yes, it's Alocasia silver dragon. Here we go. And down here, some calatheas hidden away. Marantas, calatheas. These guys are so easy to care for. That's why they're shoved down at the bottom shelf. Yeah, how do you pronounce that? It needs some water. Some variegated monstera. These are some that I have left in water that are rooting in. Pink princess. Letting these guys, yeah, you see that happening a lot. They're very sensitive to when the leaves are opening, to light, to humidity, to everything. So if this happens on yours, be sure to check that your humidity is high enough. Be sure to check that it's not too close to a grower lamp, too close to a window, many things like this, but it usually does recover on the next leaf if you can correct the problem. Doesn't really cause any harm to the plant, it's just kind of ugly. But yeah, I'm waiting on these. I'm gonna let them fill out and maybe propagate them. Don't look at that, that's ugly. Then look at this. Let's take those away. Ah! Aglaonema. String of hearts. Pilea. Cebu Blue. Syngonium. These are all little cuttings that have been potted up somewhat recently. Letting them root in. Pretty pink Syngonium. Super cool. So cool that plants can be these colors. Peperomia is something else that is very, very difficult to ship and moody as heck. This is a cool one that was called like Ecuador. I had never seen it before, so had to have it. Philodendron Painted Lady and Alocasia Stingray. Alocasia Black Velvet. Super pretty plant. I love this thing. It's like probably the easiest alocasia that I've ever owned, and quite possibly the most beautiful. I mean, the texture on this, it's like super velvety, white veins. Undersides are reddish pink. What more could you ask for in a plant? More anthuriums down here. I have some seed pods going. Super exciting. Working on a seed growing video for you guys. Here is an awesome, huge, big, beautiful mammei philodendron that I acquired recently. Had a rough trip to me, but I cannot believe these leaves did not fall off. Love it. Waiting on some new growth this spring. Here I have some Philodendron White Princess, actually. I'm trying to get them a little bit bigger before I even say that I have them, because I'm not really happy with how big they are right now. They were planted in this really horrible medium when I got them, and I left them in that for quite a while. It was like peat moss almost, very horribly planted, and I just replanted them last week, which is why you see some of the stress happening. The roots got a bit stressed, but they will be happy come spring. Looking forward to see what colors we get out of these. Half recovering plants, half dormant, half whatever. But this one is beautiful. Anthurium metallicum. Easygoing plant. I actually normally keep this inside the house where it's very dark and dry compared to in here, but I decided to move it in here to see if it will grow because it hasn't put out a new leaf in many months, so we'll see about that. And then here I have this structure, which is normally outside as a greenhouse with plastic around it in the summer, but I had to take it down so it didn't get damaged over the winter, and I decided, you know what, let's put it in here and use it as more space for mainly hanging things, which is awesome. ZZ Raven, super cool, easygoing, dark black, mysterious, beautiful black plant. Pretty much no water or light needed. I mean, okay, don't take me literally. It does need some light and water, but it's one of the plants that can tolerate the most dark of all plants that I've ever grown and owned. And it's very important actually to not give it too much water because it will rot very quickly. It has big bulbs or tubers down here in the soil which don't like to be sitting in wet soil. So lay off the water on that. And the cool thing is that it, as you see here, it comes out bright green and it fades into black. See, here's one that's not completely black yet. Incredible. Big Hoya Polyna mama. Been propagating off of this one for quite a while. Hoping that they will show up on the market again soon. I love this plant. Super cool. Philodendron Carson. Look at this one. Ah, so cool. I love this one. Say that about a lot of plants though, don't I? Just there are so many cool plants out there. Oxalis. Some Aspidistra, variegated. Trying to get a really cool variety besides this called Milky Way, which has like polka dots on it. Used to see it a lot as actually an outdoor shrub when I lived and worked at a greenhouse in California, but it's not as easy to come by here, so I was pretty excited to find this one though. Another good plant for low light. Here you see some Monstera Stanleyana. Various Hoya cuttings, some Calathea. And down here I have some Kokodamas, which are in recovery. We'll release them later. And that pretty much wraps up the greenhouse. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that's a lot of plants in there. Or maybe you're thinking, that's not very many plants. Is that really all you have? And let me tell you, it is not. There is more in the house, which maybe I'll show you guys actually. I'll give you a little glimpse now, and if you really want, you can let me know. I'll do a more detailed tour of what is in there.